It's the Jack and Nick Horror Show.
Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Jack.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Jack.
Good afternoon, Nick.
Afternoon, Jack. Ahoy, hoy.
Good, I don't know. I know, I
ruined it.
I ruined everything. That's all right. It's
Hi,
cool.
Horror Show listeners.
We're a podcast called the Jack and Nick Show.
What are we? What are we going to call our listeners? Didn't we have a good word for it? The Horror Showsians or something? I don't know.
No.
We need to review whatever it was we were going to call people and go for it.
I call them listeners and friends. So, hi, friends. How about Jack and Nick and Friends show?
Jack and Nick and Friends show. That's not a mouthful.
Nah.
So, anyway, this week we're not going to be talking about a specific movie, no real review or discussion. It's still going to have a discussion, but we're going to be talking about a couple of upcoming horror movies. It seems like this year is really backloaded with a lot of the releases coming out. There's going to be a lot in late summer to fall, so we want to talk about some of the horror movies yet to come. We also got some movies to catch up on. I know I've seen things that Jack did not see, and vice versa.
Or maybe I have. You never know.
Actually, yeah, the couple of movies I've seen, you've totally seen, but they're not good enough to speak a whole review on. And actually, I didn't make it through either of them, so I'm sure you want to hear about that. But do you have anything else you'd like to say before we get into the meat of this one?
Nah, I think we should just get right into the meat.
I have something else to say before we move on to the meat.
Okay.
Before we get to the meat of our show, let's talk about something that's a bit of a sore point between me and Jack. Not really, but what it is monkey movies.
Monkey movies.
Monkey movies.
So,
now,
funny story, but go ahead.
So, I've kind of sworn off seeing movies with killer monkeys in them, because I just don't believe that there's that much to fear from monkeys unless you were in a room with a gorilla. It's not that scary. So movies that have come out like the Planet of the Apes series, the new Planet of the Apes series, the rebooted Planet of the Apes series, whatever you want to call it, the new trilogy, with War of the Planet of the Apes being the latest release, I can't watch because I'm just like, dude, they could just shoot the monkeys.
Now you see, Nick. There's a reason that I said, well, first off, this conversation began because I said to you, holy shit, or I didn't say holy shit, I hardly say that anymore. I said, by the way, I absolutely fucking love Kong Skull Island. And then your reply was, I can't take monkey movies. We have the guns. Now, if the funniest story is this today, earlier, I had some work being done on the house, and before they were showing up, I said to my girlfriend, hey, how about we watch Kong Skull Island, because I absolutely love this movie, and I want to watch it again, and I want you to experience it. She said, okay. As we're watching it, she is like, I fucking love this movie. And it's like only 30 minutes in. And she goes, and Nick doesn't want to watch this. I said, nope, because he doesn't like movies about monkeys because guns can stop the monkeys.
Totally true.
Even King Kong, the biggest fucking ape of all.
But we got the biggest guns of all.
It doesn't, no, but this, you see, I'll explain this. By the way, Kong Skull Island, listeners, is fucking incredible. And if you're a horror fan, you gotta watch it. It's, okay.
It's horror adjacent.
Nick, let me ask you this, and there'll be very, very slight spoilers. Not much, okay? It's first 30 minutes. Nick, this takes place right after the Vietnam War. So, 1973. That's when Kong Skull Island takes place. Most people, including myself, didn't realize that. Because you just watch the movie, you see... Okay. John C. Reilly is not goofy John C. Reilly. He has some funny moments, but he's not... The way it's portrayed in the trailer isn't that way. Anyway. Nick, the music in this thing. Let me explain something to you, and tell me if this gets you excited. And by the way, they do have guns. They have machine guns, and they shoot Kong, and you kind of have to see what happens in order to understand. The way I describe this movie is it's Apocalypse Now with Jurassic Park. And what else was it? Jurassic Park, Apocalypse Now, and I don't know, some other damn movie I can't think of. But it has that kind of feeling, like Raiders of the Lost Ark in a sense too. It's just a rapid fire movie. Like there's not really too much of a dull moment. And even when it slows down, somebody gets impaled, like Cannibal Holocaust way. Okay, so imagine like maybe 10 or more helicopters approaching the island. Mm-hmm. And they're playing Paranoid. All right? Mm-hmm. And the scene is cut to Paranoid. The actual song, Paranoid. And the helicopter blade spinning to the song Paranoid. And then Kong shows up and destroys these helicopters to Paranoid, where the sound goes in and out. It's that crazy. It's a very, very crazy movie.
Is Kong playing the guitars for Paranoid?
Close enough. He's using the helicopters as guitars.
Do you want to know why he's not playing the guitars?
Why?
Because monkeys do not have a mastery of complex instruments, nor do they know how to fire guns. We could just show up and napalm him if it's 1976.
What they do, they're not there to kill him. They're there to drop seismic bombs to awaken him. And in doing that, they awaken other animals and monsters. And then that's where the movie continues. Like, Kong is just sitting there being Kong and just hanging out on the island and, saving the island people from all these monsters. These people come in, drop bombs, and then the big monsters come out, and then Kong's like, "What are you doing? You fucked up everything." And then he attacks them because they're causing a commotion.
See, the thing that I'm worried about with this is I know that this movie leads into Kong versus Godzilla.
Right.
And I'm afraid I might see that movie. But I mean, at least then, you're fighting a giant monkey with a giant Godzilla. And then it's like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to destroy this monkey. Now, I will be mad if Kong beats Godzilla because Godzilla has like nuclear tornado breath.
Well, remember, this takes place in 1973. The Godzilla movie takes place many years later. Like, that's in present time.
Right.
So the other Godzilla movie, which is Godzilla King of Monsters, Mike Dougherty did, your favorite director of Trick or Treat, he's doing, that one's taking place, I believe, after that Godzilla. So the Kong versus Godzilla, more than likely, they haven't really discussed the plot, is going to happen between Kong and the first Godzilla. So my belief is that, they'll fight, but then something bigger will come along and they'll fight that together and go their separate ways.
Oh, so it's going to be one of those fake versus movies where it's not actually
all
a versus. Just like Batman versus Superman, where Batman and Superman fight for a little, but then Doomsday shows up and they got to fight him instead.
Right.
That movie, dude, tried watching it for the third time, could not make it through. It's so boring. Not
interested.
See? Can't watch movies with monkeys. Can't watch movies with Supermen. It's all the same.
No, it's funny. I'm actually starting to catch up on the Marvel movies. I got a bunch of used copies of pretty much all of them, and I'm just gonna watch them all in a row, like in the same day. I have a life, but in here and there, I'm gonna fit them in to rewatch them because I was working at a house and somebody was watching Civil War, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're introducing Spider-Man, Ant-Man's in this. This is what's going on. I'm so lost.
Yeah, it's it would be pretty hard to pick up at part 14.
Right.
But it's and the Marvel movies still make sense for the most part. But now we're way off topic.
Okay,
the point
anyway.
is monkeys.
Time out. We haven't gone into the apes yet. Okay, so Planet of the Apes, Nick.
War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, well, there's Rise of the Planet of the Apes, then there's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and now there's War of the Planet of the Apes. I haven't seen War, but I've seen Rise and Dawn.
Okay.
Now, okay, so Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I'm not going to ruin the movie. However, there are no guns in the movie. It's not about guns and apes taking over until the last part of it. And how they get around it is pretty inventive. However, the second movie, you see, it's kind of like a it's like a statement on war, but it's not too overt. And guns too, like gun violence. The humans have the guns, the apes do not, and the apes have their little ape world. This is after Rise. This is in Dawn now. Rise has already happened. Like, there was a virus that pretty much killed almost the entire human race. So there are a group of survivors that, you know, they were immune to the virus. So they're living in San Francisco, what's left of it, and trying to rebuild it. So you have the apes hanging out, and they're starting to talk in ape land, and then humans in human land. The humans start to come in, and there is a rift between the apes, where, like, asshole ape is like, these humans, we gotta kill them, and the main ape, who is Caesar, is like, no, we can't kill them. They're, you know, they're good people. You know, they're good. We can trust them. And hey, by the way, we're all cool here. If we go to war with them, we're gonna lose our land. So let's just chill and be cool. So the apes, when they go to the other land, they act like apes, and they don't talk to the humans. Here and there, they, you know, humans know that they are speaking, but they're not like speaking fluent English. And they see a whole bunch of guns being, you know, stored in San Francisco, and a badass ape goes to Caesar and says, "Hey, these guys have guns, dude, and they're gonna wipe us all out."
Yeah.
So, and Caesar goes, "Let it be. Stop being an asshole." They get into a rift. That crazy ape goes there, takes the guns, brings the guns to the other apes, starts a war, and there's gunplay between the apes and the humans.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how... Now, there is not a total annihilation of all humans. There's not an entire annihilation of all apes. They have their fight, but, you know, things happen. But, like, that's how they get around it. Because, yeah, humans have guns, but the monkeys are becoming as smart as humans.
Yeah, I so don't care about any of this. It's like, can I please, like, just even hearing about these monkeys, like, dude, somebody just shoot the monkeys, carpet bomb the monkeys.
They do that in these
but they don't
movies.
do it enough. They don't do it enough
Because monkeys are more, they can, you know, swing from trees and shit, and swing from the Golden Gate Bridge.
That's not enough of a defense.
Yes, it is.
No, against rocket launchers.
Oh, rocket launchers, schmonchers. Dude, that's what War of the Planet of the Apes is about, and I haven't watched it yet. And I want to see crazy Woody Harrelson.
Well, and if even crazy Woody Harrelson, whose father killed JFK, can't, you know, stop
He didn't
these
kill
monkeys.
JFK.
That's a long story. Go Google that one. Anyway, time to talk about some horror movies and horror movie trailers. Some stuff that's coming out. Me and Jack's impressions. These are not monkey movies. Oh, but Shakma, I'd totally watch Shakma if I ever find the fucking time.
Shakma is a great movie.
Different story, because then you're like indoors with a monkey. That's terrifying.
You know, Shakma has some shocking moments in it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that went right on the box cover.
It didn't. However,
Oh.
I gotta read you. Hang on. While we're on this topic, keep talking. I'm gonna bring it up. Hang on. I gotta bring this up.
Keep talking about monkeys.
About monkeys, yeah.
Other positive monkey experiences in movies are apparently fleeting, because I can't even think of another monkey in a movie that I was like, that's a good monkey. Maybe I just don't like monkeys.
Maybe.
What am I waiting for?
Why are you against monkeys?
I'm not against monkeys. I just don't think that they would be doing very well against humans in a fight. Period. Or Godzilla's, for that matter.
Okay, so Code Red, which I'm a fan of the distribution company Code Red. Okay, so you know that Code Red is all done by one guy and people call him crazy or whatever, but some of his descriptions, warts and all, of movies are kind of great. All right, so Shakma. Mm-hmm. Back of it says, a murderous baboon with a red ass escapes from from a Florida laboratory and roams the research building and begins to kill some teenagers who are also in the building playing a live-action Dungeons and Dragons-esque game. If the lame game doesn't kill them, Shakma will.
Yeah.
That's the description.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that doesn't sell you on the movie, I got nothing for you. Shakma's great.
Yeah, that I'll watch. So, anyway, time for some trailer discussion and first impressions and such.
Okay.
Let's go. So this fall, there are quite a few big horror movies coming out to theaters, no less, and some that are going to be on direct-to-video that we really wanted to talk about just because, we're a horror movie podcast. It's what we do. So first up, just released this past week, as of the time of recording, the trailer for what will be the 8th movie in the Saw series, Jigsaw. Now, I'm just going to give my impression of this one first before you give yours, Jack. But
that's fine.
This Jigsaw trailer looked like I thought we were really going to get something like totally different. I guess my expectations were a little bit off center. I expected this to just be something completely different. I didn't know if it was going to be a prequel. I really didn't follow the development of the movie very much. And especially since you're calling it Jigsaw, I thought it was going to be about Jigsaw. But apparently the movie from the trailer looks exactly like every Saw movie you ever saw. It's part high stakes police, procedural drama that is kind of R-rated, and then it's also part torture porn film with insane contraptions getting more insane as the movies and time limit of the movie itself goes on. I was really surprised that it seemed to add nothing really new to it, because you even know that the intrigue of John Kramer somehow being alive is probably not going to turn out that way. What did you think when you saw this one?
I felt sort of the same, where I said, oh, this feels like Saw 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or no, there's only 7, right?
Yeah, there's 7.
Yeah, that's another one I watched all of them in a row, and then at the end of it, I couldn't remember what happened. I just know a lot of people died.
Right, I saw everyone in the theater for every year, and I kept counting on some sort of big swerve or twist coming, and they kind of did sometimes. So, I'm not complaining about the Saw series as a whole. I know I've said before, there are kids that are growing up now that are watching Saw the way we watched Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or what have you. When we watched whole series of horror movies, there are probably kids that are swearing by these movies, and that's perfectly fine. I like the Saw movies much more than it seems like my modern contemporaries do, because it seems like a lot of people don't like them. But anyway.
Here's some Jack trivia. You know how many Saw sequels I saw in the theater? Or Saw movies? No, none. I saw absolutely
none. You saw the first one?
No, I didn't see that in the theater. No.
Okay.
Guess how many Friday the 13th I saw in the theater?
3.
None. I didn't get to see any of them.
Not even the reboot?
Not even a reboot.
No. Strange.
But I absolutely love... The funny thing is, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, how many of those did I see in the theater?
6.
No. I saw
None?
3, 4, 5 Freddy's Dead, and that's it. Oh, and the shitty remake.
Okay.
Too young for the other two. However, after all this time, and that was my favorite series ever. We just recently rewatched Freddy's Dead, which, God, it's such a bad movie.
But I kind of love it for like no good reason.
Yeah, but it's so bad and dull.
Oh, it is.
Like, it's just, you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
However, yeah. The Friday the 13th series, I actually think, are more rewatchable than Nightmares. But go on.
In some ways. But anyway, Jigsaw, man. So this movie has to have one of two twists at the end, right?
Yeah.
There's only really two ways that it can go. One is that the cult of Jigsaw that was set up at the last movie, where there were other people who had been cured of their mental illnesses by him, but like are running the show now, and they're framing Jigsaw to keep his legacy alive, right?
Right.
Or the other possible way, 95% chance it's Cult of Jigsaw. 95% chance. 5% chance they go supernatural. and Jigsaw is back, and he joins the ranks of, Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees and all of them as some sort of supernatural killer. And that would be probably not. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to think of that. I want to say, like, my knee-jerk reaction is that would probably be a negative. But my knee-jerk reaction to it could also be, well, maybe it would be awesome. So I just doubt it's going to happen.
I'm hoping for the best, but I saw the other Saw movies.
Yeah.
And they're not terrible. But
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, they have to kind of reinvent the wheel, because we've seen it 7 times.
Exactly.
So yeah,
That's why.
And it's probably somebody had this idea. Oh, I got the perfect ending if we ever did a Saw movie, and then they're like, oh, that's perfect. Let's make it. And then they just I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. I'm not negative about movies anymore, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to probably see Jigsaw. Probably not in theaters. Maybe in theaters because I owe it to myself to see all the Saw movies in theaters. But I'm probably not going to see it in theaters. I'll say it.
You'll see it opening night in theaters.
I hope it doesn't suck. I don't know though. I mean, I'm just surprised that they didn't go for a whole reinventing the wheel thing, or tell like a wholly different story, like in a different time period, or just something different. I feel like that it looked so much the same that I was like kind of blown away by the amount of stagnation.
When does it come out?
It comes out this October, around Halloween.
Oh, okay.
So you got some time there. Also supposed to return this year, isn't it? Isn't there supposed to be? Is the Halloween movie they're supposedly making coming out next year or this year?
Next year, not this year.
Oh, okay. I that one I say supposedly because come on. I think we know.
Blumhouse. Blumhouse is doing it, so it will get made.
Yeah, if Blumhouse is working on it, there's a higher chance that it could get made, but who knows, dude? Who knows? Seriously. So, next up is a movie called Leatherface. And this movie is a prequel of sorts, or a new rebooting, or a rebooting of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, we've already had that happen before, like twice, but we're going to go for it again. And this time it is made by Alexander Bustillo and the other guy, Julian Maury. Is that how you say his name?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great. Glad we cleared that up.
Right.
They made the movie Inside.
Yes.
And what else? Levid?
And
Levid.
Among the Living, which is on Shudder.
And this movie, now, according to what it says here, the release for this is going to be exclusive via DirecTV on September 21st. And then it gets a wide release on VOD and limited theater run. So that's a little weird. But what did you think of the trailer for this one, Jack?
I'm just going to run down the Texas Chainsaw series real quick, just to describe where my head is before I watch this trailer, and a lot of people's heads are.
Oh, yeah.
So you have the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Horror classic.
Horror classic, and people love the movie. That's the reason why Tobe Hooper got Poltergeist, got the directive, quote unquote, but he didn't.
One of my favorites of one of the first slasher movies.
Yeah. So, big deal. Okay. Then he always thought of it as a comedy, so that's why he made Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as a comedy.
Still a good movie.
Which is still good. It's crazy, it's frantic, it is a comedy, and it's gory and fun and silly.
Very different from the first movie.
Yeah. And then you have Saw 3.
No. Leatherface,
Leatherface
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
So many
Saw
different
3.
franchises, they're all in my head right now.
I know. It's
Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which is a bit of a departure from 2, and it has Viggo Mortensen in it, and Ken Foree, and other people.
I think
William Butler and
part 3 is like as far a step down from 2 as 2 is from 1, except maybe even lower.
Right, a little bit lower. Then you have Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation with
oh my god,
with McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, which is a complete departure, like from everything.
It is a departure that barely makes it off the runway before it explodes.
So then Michael Bay comes along swinging his schwanz around, and he comes in and he's like, I got platinum tunes, and I sound like Norm Macdonald. We're going to make, we're going to reboot these horror movies, and we're going to hire people and stuff, and put Jessica Biel in it with titties and stuff. So they make the dirtiest, grimiest, I haven't showered in 2 weeks kind of movie, which is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake of the original, but they, go their own way with it. But then they have Texas Chainsaw sequel called The Beginning, which takes place before the remake of the first one. And then they make Leatherface, or what is it?
No.
Chainsaw 3D.
Yep.
Whatever it's called.
Poop. That one's poop.
Which takes place after the original first one, not the remake, but it's the timing is off because the main character of that movie is the baby that's in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. However, in this one she's 20, but the date is 2015 or whenever that crappy movie came out.
Yeah, it made no sense.
So now
they're like, burn it all down.
Now
we're starting again.
Now they're going all the way back to before the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Hang
on, I'm laughing here. Hang on, I gotta get this out. Okay, so now I'm like, forget it. I have no interest in it until I heard who the directors were. And then I watched the trailer and I said, that looks fantastic. I want to see that movie. Reason for it is it looks really cool and scary and violent. And it looks better than the other movies that came out after the original Texas Chainsaw.
Right. Given the lack of strength of the franchise, there's a good chance that this movie could land somewhere in the middle, no problem. Even if the movie sucks, it could be in the middle of the Texas Chainsaw franchise, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't as blown away by the trailer as you were because I am very standoffish after Texas Chainsaw 3D 4 years ago.
Oh, trust me.
A movie we both had a bad time. Remember I got so sick when I watched that movie and I blamed the movie?
I was not a fan.
You hated it more than I did, and I was pretty unhappy with it. But That is one that like I watched again and I hated much more the second time around. And even some of the other ones mixed in there, I didn't think that the 2003 Michael Bay one was completely trash.
I liked it.
There was moments in it that I enjoyed, but I've never really revisited it that much.
This sounds ridiculous. I actually liked the beginning even more.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it felt more like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where except it's more violent than that one, but it has a little bit of a frantic. Did you see the beginning?
Yeah, I've seen all these movies.
Okay, so you know how it ends, and I was like, whoa, well that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing, I mean, I just feel like completely worn out on the Leatherface idea.
Yeah,
I feel like there's not even much more story that you can tell with it. Like, it's just so simple. It's crazy rednecks kill people and eat them. And it's like, you can tell that story only so many different ways. Whereas, like, you know, the Saw movies that we're just talking about, there's intrigue about them. We could go back and watch, like, Jigsaw torture somebody in a warehouse on his first job and messing stuff up, you know? Yeah. I say job like it was a assignment, but you know what I mean.
Maybe they're bringing Monica Potter back in the Saw franchise since she was she just vanished. Remember, she was the wife?
Yeah.
She hasn't acted in a while.
Well.
There you go. Yeah.
So... what else here? Leatherface. Was there anything about the trailer in particular that stuck out to you?
The chainsaw with blood on it. Yeah, I mean, it looked really good. That's all. I mean, it's
all right.
I'm not gonna say it looks like shit. It actually looks cool. I like the way they do the skin mask, and I just, you know, after seeing Among the Living a while ago, I love their style, and it looks like their style is part, you know, in this movie. So I'm gonna watch it.
Hopefully, it works out.
I hope so too.
Next up, we have the movie Polaroid, which is the trailer is basically a girl finds a Polaroid camera, starts taking pictures of her friends with it for artistic purposes, and then it's like ghosts appear in it and people start dying and all that, which I must add right off the top is very, very close to the plot of Say Cheese and Die, a Goosebumps book from the 90s.
It's also like Final Destination, you notice.
Kind of, a little. I guess that's mixed in there. I have much like monkey movies. I have kind of sworn off like straight up supernatural movies, ghost possessions, all that, just because I'm like I need a cleanse from it. And I've been on this cleanse now for about a year or two, and I feel much happier about the movies that I watch because of it. Because I feel like on our old podcast that stuff was just getting rammed down our throats because of the nature of the releases and such, and now that we've been able to ignore them a lot more, I've been able to rediscover what I love about horror movies. So this looks like the type of movie that I would ignore until it comes on to HBO Go or Netflix or what have you.
Yeah. Polaroid. I don't know. We'll see. It looks interesting, but I don't know about the ghosts. Almost look the same. Do you have a feeling that like movies like this exist because they're afraid of offending people?
How do you mean exactly? I have no idea what you mean.
Horror movies, like most of them are having possession, demon, creature, animal, ghosty things. So that this way it's like, boo, we scared you. Boo, we scared you. Rather than some guy or girl with a hatchet or whatever hacking people up to pieces while they're like showering and fucking and stuff.
I think maybe in the greater sense you might be really onto something. Like these movies are simple and easy to make and inoffensive at that.
Yeah.
They don't, but sometimes, because as soon as they cross over into too much of one territory or another, you have people who are like professionally offended crybabies online who come out and say, well, this movie doesn't treat women with respect.
Right.
Well, this movie, makes the handicapped look insane. This movie, which even saying what makes the handicapped look insane is probably not a problematic sentence in their regard. Or even other things where I mean I guess it does it is also harder to make movies like the recent movie that came out, Wish Upon, or what was that movie with the Divock box from several years ago, Possession. In fact, it was called Possession. That they don't want to belittle someone's ethnic traditions or customs. Like it's a lot harder to handle that situation with aplomb and know what you're doing than most movie companies have handled it in the past. But yeah, making a movie like this is probably safe for them, and they just go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just something that dawns on me when I see these trailers, and I'm just saying that how can people still go see the same exact ghost movie over and over again? I mean, same as for the old slashers and all that junk too. I get it. I love the slasher genre, as you know, but there's something where even, I mean, and I'm not going to go on a tirade here. Don't worry, people. But like, it's the same where Hollywood gets stuck in that funk where they have to do things to death.
Oh yeah.
And they just continuously do it, and people continuously go to see it, but they continuously complain about after they see it because nobody wants to take chances, because nobody wants to spend money, and so they just play it safe and keep it going until something else comes along that reinvents the wheel, and then everybody does that to death. Much like the in every movie, it's
right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's not just limited to the horror genre at all,
Right,
but
right.
I mean, we've definitely seen it happen where, 15 years ago it was a lot of J-horror and J-horror remakes, and then, 10 years ago you got the torture porn movies and slasher remakes and stuff, and then you got, for the past 5 years until now, found footage movies over and over again, which I'm surprised that in talking about upcoming trailers, there wasn't any like major found footage movie coming out. I think
because the final nail in the coffin was the Blair Witch movie.
Probably. I don't even think I've seen one since then.
There's that Phoenix Forgotten movie that people forgot about already. But
yeah, in fact, I had heard about that one, but yes, I literally forgot about that one. But you probably shouldn't do that. Don't name your movie something forgotten, because then people are just gonna make jokes, dude.
And don't name your movie The Disappointments Room, because
oh my god, it's so funny.
Because that's like giving a critic like a candy bar.
Exactly.
It's simple.
Every time I talk about that movie, I'm like, the Disappointments Room.
It's you could just see the door opening, and inside of that room you just see like all the bad movies that you've watched and the characters from it just like looking at you like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like the opposite of Ready Player One trailer.
Hey, Freddy's in that, so it's okay. You can bring it up.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question. What genre has strong female characters? The number one genre that has strong female characters.
I already know that it's horror.
You got it. And yet people say that it's the most misogynistic genre ever. We're not going into a tirade, don't worry.
I know.
But
we will be here all night.
All these ghost movies, almost every single one of them has a female lead.
Mm-hmm. And a female audience, for that matter.
Yeah.
So
not that's a good thing. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying
not that we're like,
exists.
oh, fuck the female audience.
Yeah.
No,
same
not what
thing
I
in
meant.
all the slasher movies, etc. There's always a strong female lead. in it.
But I think when you get into casual horror fans, like the type that don't listen to podcasts, a lot of them tend to be people who watch just these like ghost movies and stuff, you know?
Because they just want a spook show, that's all. And they just want to go in, get scared, get out, and then go get laid or not.
Yeah, and you know, it's weird because then like ones like It Follows or The Babadook come out that are like these sort of different supernatural ones, and they do good money, they do good business, and that's great. And then you have like all these hardcore fans who line up to say, it's not scary, what the fuck was that movie? And it's like, dude, do you even like the people who say that about those movies, like It Follows sucked or The Babadook sucked? They have no idea where the bar is in modern horror movies whatsoever. They have no idea, especially paranormal ghost possession movies. They have no clue. In fact, they have not gone back and watched the actual ones that they like from their youth. Like what, The Exorcist is probably one of the ones that aged the best. And I can't even think of other. There's probably a handful, if I really thought about it, other ghost movies that really stood up to the test of time. And again, I say ghost movie, I mean supernatural, possession, paranormal, all of that in one genre. A lot of those movies, if you showed it to young people today, they're not going to sit there and like Poltergeist. Not a lot of them. They're going to see the effects and go, this looks like garbage, you know? It's going to get harder over time to convince people that those are good movies. And then when you trash on the new stuff that comes out, that is, even if you only thought It Follows was decent, but you feel compelled to say it sucked, you are wrong. Shut up. You could just go, it wasn't for me, and move on.
Right.
I hate it when people complain about those movies, because especially I loved like all of those modern supernatural movies that were great that I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm. I liked them too. I'm not knocking all that. That being said, I think Polaroid might be good, but it looks kind of generic, but that's okay.
You know, sometimes these movies do come out and are surprisingly better than they looked. Yeah. I heard Lights Out was much better than the trailer looked. I didn't see it, so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I heard that.
I saw it. I purchased it. It was one of the first movies I watched in my new home by myself in the dark.
Well,
right. It's
so
okay. It's generic. Yeah.
This movie's coming out, and we probably will all wait until it's on Netflix to see it.
There you have it.
Next
Put it
up,
in the queue.
the latest movie to be added to the Child's Play franchise. This one is Cult of Chucky. Chucky is back, and he's got a cult. The setup for the movie is one of the characters from the last one spent 4 years in a mental institution after members of her family were murdered. And the good guy doll comes back, and it turns out it's Chucky. And then also, what's her name? The girl, Jennifer Tilly. Jennifer Tilly? Is that her name?
Yes.
Ah, I got it. Is back as Chucky's wife, but like
when
in
she's
her
drunk,
old body.
it's Jennifer Tilty.
Whoa.
That was on purpose.
Anyway,
that was on purpose for people that hate me. Go ahead.
This is another series of films where it's like, okay, Child's Play was somewhat of a strangely serious slasher movie about a doll that comes to life and stabs people because he's possessed by way of voodoo curse, which you would not see in modern movies, as we just said. And then Child's Play 2 is the same thing again, kind of.
You know what's a better movie than Child's Play?
Child's Play 2?
You got it. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, it is. Child's Play 3 is some campy ridiculousness where Chucky comes back again and kills people. Oh, speaking of campy ridiculousness, then there's Bride of Chucky in the late 90s that was better than you could have imagined it would have been if you had heard the premise in 1998. Like, when I saw that movie, I was like, I can't believe this movie wasn't the total garbage I expected it to be, because they go all in on the campiness. Seed of Chucky, though, I really hated when I saw it in theaters, and it was kind of just like super dull. Curse of Chucky, though, when it finally came back after 9 years away, when Curse of Chucky came out a couple of years ago, I was really into that movie. I thought it was just a decent return to form for whatever Chucky is, a bit scarier and grittier, ditching a bit of the campiness. I don't know if you... I'm saying scarier than Seed of Chucky.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't scare me, for Christ's sake. Again, because just like with the monkeys, you could take out a doll real easy, you know? Also, Cult of Chucky. So this is the seventh film. All I want from this movie is a slightly enjoyable, sort of goofy, sort of campy, sort of gratuitously violent doll kills people movie. I don't know. And it looks like that's what it's going to be from the trailer.
You know, the other one, what is it, Curse of Chucky? Is that the one before this one?
Yep.
Okay. That one felt like Hellraiser Revelations, and then this one feels like Bad Dreams and, what is it, Color of Night mixed together.
I have no idea what you mean.
Bad Dreams with Jennifer Rubin, and Color of Night with Bruce Willis and Jane March. Do you ever see that?
I have no idea what these movies are.
Okay. Oh, Dream Warriors. Remember Dream Warriors?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay,
yeah.
It's kind of like that. All right, there you go. Where you have the people in the mental hospital, and they're all trying to figure out their own shit, and then along comes the killer that kills them off one by one. Same plot. Curse of Chucky was cool, but it really had a weird feel to it. It kind of felt like Hellraiser Revelations, which was a bad movie, but not as bad as I thought it would be. This one, though, it looks okay. It looks serviceable, and it's funny how they're just bringing back what's his name, the dude from the original, Andy.
Yeah, since he's not even a actual actor anymore, is he?
I don't think so. I know he's at conventions a lot, but I hope for the best. I mean, I love to watch all the Child's Plays again, and just have a marathon at it. And I like that they're continuing the series rather than rebooting it, which is also cool. Yeah. I mean, it looks okay. It looks like it.
Yeah.
Killing people.
I mean, what I would say about this installation in the Child's Play franchise, and about the people handling the franchise in general, they have a lot more respect for the property than the people who are making Leatherface or Jigsaw, and they have a lot more respect for their audience. And you can tell because they're paying attention to continuity. They're throwing in not just references to old stuff, but they're making elements of the old movies a part of the story here.
Right.
Whereas Leatherface, they're like, fuck it, let's burn it all down and just tell a new story. The kids will come out and play anyway, right? And I mean, that's exploitative and taking advantage of your audience, and that's what big movie studios do. They just come in and put the name on it, and they're like, this is good enough,
Right.
And we've seen that maybe a million times. And here we're actually looking at a piece of movie making that honors its weird past, no matter the quality. It's not necessarily throwing anything away. It's just it will ignore the dumbest parts and not mention them. I hope. I don't know. I just want it to be goofy fun, and it looks like it'll be goofy fun. So out of the 5 movies we're talking about here tonight, I actually am looking forward to this one the most. Just because it has the least distance to go to disappoint me. I don't think I will be disappointed with it, and I don't think I could be disappointed with it. It's just going to be goofy shit.
And if you are disappointed with it, the disappointments room is where it goes.
Exactly. Put it in your own private disappointments room. So, tell us about the last movie trailer.
What was the last one?
The Hatred.
Oh, The Hatred. Jesus. See, I just forget stuff. I'm sorry. The Hatred looks pretty interesting. It's another one that I saw somebody posted a trailer for it on my Facebook feed a while back, and I noticed that the Wishmaster himself was in the trailer. This one looks like it's weird, like a witch movie, but ghost movie, but possession movie, but slasher movie with dames. I don't know. I say that because they're all dressed like, with low cup tops and stuff. It looks interesting. I just hope that it's really good. I haven't seen anything. I mean, it looks like a Blender movie. Does that make sense, Nick?
As in you put a lot of stuff in a blender and then you pour it on the floor and hope it looks like a good movie?
Yeah. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. There is one part of the trailer I really liked where there's a girl that's in a bed, and the older girl, a young girl, is in a bed, and this girl comes over and she's like, "Hey, what's the matter?" And she goes, "I'm scared. It's under my bed." And then she looks under the bed, and it's the same girl was just in the bed, and she goes, "That's not me." And I'm like, that's interesting. That's pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like there's sorority girls coming into a house, and then there's Andrew Divoff saying, "You don't belong here," and it's kind of all around. But I got to see the movie in order to give my opinion, just like a lot of these things. But I don't know. What is your take on it, Nick?
That's one of those ones that I would wait for Netflix for. It does nothing for me. I would have to hear a lot of people talking about it in reviews saying, "Yep, this movie was better than I expected," to get me out of my butt to go see that one. Now, is that one? Ooh, I don't have the information. That one might only be coming direct to.
No, it's coming to theaters in September, but then it's also getting released to DVD or Blu-ray, I believe, and VOD around that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another. I mean, that's pretty much how they release almost every movie these days. They're like, we're gonna release it in theaters and Blu-ray on the same day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, very few people will go to the theater. I don't know. Why do they do that? It still doesn't make sense. That model just doesn't make sense to me.
It's got to be some sort of contractual obligation that they had to put it out in so many theaters or some shit.
Yeah, I know they have that,
like that.
But I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
So you can be legit, I guess, which makes sense, but it's one of those. I just don't get it. I don't know.
So,
now, did you said that you would seen or half seen or not seen movies?
yes, I did. Before we wrap up tonight, after Jack and Nick's trailer extravaganza here, let's talk about just a handful of other movies that I tried to watch. I may have mentioned this one last episode, but I'm going to mention it again because it's weird that that it's so much more boring than the first one. I know I told you about this one on the phone when we talked, but I tried watching The Conjuring 2 and was just so bored with it. I could not continue watching. I was like maybe 45, 50 minutes in. And I'm not saying this as a horror elitist because I watch like anything. I'll give anything a shot. But I couldn't finish it.
Will you watch Kong? Skull Island?
Get out of here. Monkey movies. I'm being elitist on that. I took my stance upon a monkey's grave. But The Conjuring 2, man, it was very similar to the first one. I just found a lot of it to be like sort of boring. Like there was parts of, like I was so bored that I was like looking at the actors' faces and just thinking, all these British people in this movie, they're too pretty. they're just too pretty. They don't look like real humans to me. And that was something that was kind of nice about the last movie. Everybody in The Conjuring 1 kind of felt like a real human for the most part, especially the family that they go see in rural Connecticut.
You trying to say that Lily Tower's ugly?
No, I didn't say ugly. I said normal looking, or at worst, and they kind of normaled them up. Whereas here, they're talking to these British children that look like perfect little porcelain angels, and it's like, God damn it, this is distracting from the fact that I don't like this movie that much. And there is one sort of great part, and they frame it so dishonestly that it was unbelievable to watch. Now, there is a clip on YouTube that you can go watch of the Sally Jesse Raphael show, where the Warrens, the real life couple, were on the Sally Jesse Raphael show along with a dude who was completely debunking them in public. Mm-hmm. And it plays out hilariously bad for the Warrens, right? Mm-hmm. They kind of do that in the movie. Did you see The Conjuring 2?
No, I saw the first one.
Okay, well they're on a talk show.
That's why. That's all I gotta say.
Right. Well, the Warrens, the famous supernatural hunting couple, are major characters in the first Conjuring and the second Conjuring, and they are on a talk show that is not the Sally Jesse Raphael show, but they are saying literally the same things that they say in that episode of the Sally Jesse Raphael show, but like they take the words out of context and twist things around to make them look heroic in the scene. Instead of, like goofballs faking it across the land and taking advantage of people, which is what the Warrens kind of are. Go and look them up. It's hilarious. But that was a weird part of the movie that I almost couldn't believe that they had done, but I completely understand why they had done it, and I kind of even respect that they had the balls to do. Yeah. It's completely dishonest. Like, even if you're going to say, well, our characters in this universe are really experiencing these things, have them go through the same stuff that the Warrens had to go through with a crowd like jeering them,
Sorry.
Man, so yeah, but again, so boring I couldn't get through it, and it was like way more predictable than your regular James Wan movie. Did he direct that one, or did somebody else direct? He did.
Yeah.
Jeez, because it's really weird, the discrepancy between the first two Insidious movies and the first two Conjuring movies. Mm-hmm. I feel like the Conjuring movies are made very much for that the casual fan, to bring in the numbers. People who are not going to be driven too far in any direction. They just want to see a plain old ghost movie. That's the Conjuring stuff. Whereas the Insidious movies are like way more in your face and intense, have really inventive scares at times. Mm-hmm. I didn't see Insidious 3 yet, and I don't think James Wan directed that one. So I'm just saying.
Lee Winnell did.
Oh, yeah. But man, it's amazing how those four movies are all directed by the same guy, and they just go off in different directions. You know what I mean? Right. Even though they feel like they're taking place in the same universe, I feel like the Insidious monstrosities and demons and ghosts or whatever are much more threatening and much more of an imposing presence than the ghost and supernatural possession stuff in the Conjuring movies.
Yeah, I think that the Insidious movie is the movie that started the whole let's all make ghost movies.
Because it made money.
Yeah. And that's not, I didn't just figure this out, people. I'm just
Right. Jack just had this revelation.
Yeah. I'm teaching you everything about the modern horror genre. I mean, it feels very, I don't know. The Conjuring, when I saw the original, I felt the same way as you're saying that Conjuring 2 felt for you, where my girlfriend and I went to go see it, and we were laughing throughout the whole movie, and that's a bad sign for us, because she's scared of ghost movies. Like, they actually terrify her, and we were just like, this is so bad. I'm bored. Like, let's go back. I mean, we saw it in New York with a sold out crowd, so it wasn't even like we were just like sitting at home bored. We saw it like in a sold out theater, and we're like, why are these people jumping? It's stupid.
See, I actually thought that would have made The Conjuring 2 a lot better, as if I saw it in the theater.
Well, not for me.
With people like going nuts, I'd be like, wow, these people are enjoying themselves.
Yeah. There's another thing that goes through my head too when I'm watching, well, mostly horror movies. You ever get that feeling that like there are two different types of movies? There are big budget movies and then indie movies.
Yeah.
And then the indie movies just feel very indie. They feel like they are under this control where they have to appeal to a very small group of people rather than trying to appeal to the masses. Because if they appeal to the masses, then they're sellouts. You notice that?
Yeah.
And that happens a lot with these ghost movies too, where it's you can be scary as shit, you know, and like make it really terrifying, but they just feel like, no, we're just gonna play it safe and just, you know, beat around the bush because it's the thing, and it's like indie and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if it were like a Michael Bay ghost movie, it would be like ghost fuckers, you know. It would be fucking kind of crazy. Dude, I said this before, and I'll always say it. Give Michael Bay a chance. Now that Transformers is underperforming, give him a chance. The guy made Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, and people love those movies. People forget that. So, anyway, I don't know. It's just a lot of indie movies, when they feel very indie, I get very bored with them quick. Mm-hmm. And that's probably why a lot of people, like you were saying about It Follows and whatnot, people don't like those because they're very indie. You know? I mean, even though It Follows, I think, does go a little bit further than most of the indie horror movies. And the same happens within that, too. Like, you either have the restrained indie movie or the extreme indie movie.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like, we're going to show blood. We're going to show guts. What about plot? Who needs that? We got blood. We got guts. We
Practical effects, guys. Yeah. It's all cool. And
then the indie guys are like, no, we're going to be like Wes Anderson making a horror movie. I don't know. And then, yeah, whatever. I'm done. I just, you know.
It's all right.
Hey,
in indie horror movie, you want to talk about what you saw? Fine.
Yeah, fine. Go. Fine, I will. All right.
Please.
I watched the Belko Experiment.
Oh, man, I want to see that one. One that I actually want to see. I watch all this shit, and then I'm like, oh, man, I totally want to see that totally dumb movie about a corporation of people who have to kill each other.
You sounded like a... And I know everybody gets offended, but I'm going to say this. You sounded like a girl on Twitter.
I am. I'm fangirling over
As soon as I said it, you're like, oh, my God, I want to see that.
Oh. A movie I actually wanted to see. Was it at least a B+?
Yeah, it's serviceable. It's violent. It does have some fun moral questions in it. You know, and there's one thing in it. If you're a fan of James Gunn, you will probably enjoy it. It is kind of a disposable movie too. But that's what it is. It's just, hey, let's put a bunch of people in a building and have them kill each other. If you're a fan of James Gunn, and I have to rewatch Guardians just to figure this out. The specials I never watched. There's a thing in Slither, if you recall the movie Slither, where they focus on the grenade. When Nathan Fillion's grabbing all the guns, they have the camera facing Nathan Fillion, and right in the center of the frame is a grenade. And Nathan Fillion grabs that, and you're like, yep, he's going to use that grenade, and that's what's going to kill the monster. And then later on towards the end of the movie, when the big monster's there, he throws a grenade into the monster spits it out, goes into the pool, and it goes poof, And and you're like, well, shit. Same type of thing happens in this movie. I'm not going to say what it is, but you're like, this is what's going to happen. And then it's like, as a matter of fact, no, it's not. So, if that entices you, I suggest checking it out. It's good. I like the cast in it. There's a lot of James Gunn people in it, and the director made Wolf Creek and Wolf Creek 2, which is cool. I like those movies. I like that dude. What's his name? Greg McLean.
Yeah, and James Gunn wrote it, right?
James Gunn wrote it. Yeah, it's got his brother in it, and Michael Rooker, and the guy from 10 Cloverfield Lane and Hush. I can't remember his name. Tony Goldwyn's in it. John C. Reilly. It's a lot of fun. I'm not going to say any more. That's all. I enjoyed it. So, Nick, what else did you see?
Totally want to see that still. I'm totally interested in that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I totally am. Okay, so speaking of indie supernatural movies that keep it very indie, this one is pretty... I actually think is very, very niche. It's on... Is it on Netflix right now? What is this one on? Yeah, it's on Netflix, and I know you saw it. Beyond the Gates.
Oh, dear.
Beyond the Gates is a movie about... basically, first it has
people
to...
talking.
Yes, it has to explain itself to you because not everybody knows what this even is. But back in the day, there was this really niche market for videotape board games where you would put a videotape in while you play a game, and then you'd push play, and then you'd pause it at like a moment when something was happening.
But then you'd have to fast forward.
Right, and it'd be like if you choose to roll now, fast forward to minute 17. If you choose not to, like I think I actually had a videotape game, but I only had the videotape, and I think it was for the movie. Like it was Clue, but it was a game, and it was. I think I only watched it because I had recently seen the movie Clue.
I had Clue, and I had a horror. There was a horror movie game. And a action movie game, but go on.
Yeah, like I actually I don't even know how I did this. Did I rent it or something? I don't know. I just had something that was like that, and
I had
it was,
a Honeymooners one too. Go ahead. Sorry.
I feel like my mom got it for me somehow. But anyway, I watched something like this, and we just watched the tape just to watch it through. We didn't even play the game, which I assume a lot of people did. So first the movie, Beyond the Gates, sets itself up by explaining, see, there used to be this thing where there'd be videotapes. And then there's these two guys in the movie, both who have gone their separate ways. They're brothers, right? Mm-hmm. But one of them was successful and moved out of town, and one of them was unsuccessful and stuck around. And their father owned a videotape consortium. Like, what is this building that they're in? I don't know. It's like a warehouse full of videotapes. He must be a specialist dealer of some sort. There's probably like 5 guys in the country who exist like this. Their father goes missing. They have to sort out all his videotapes and his belongings because he's finally presumed dead. And it turns out one of the things that they find is a videotape game that they decide to play, but it seems like the game is actually possessed and haunted, and then they end up in the game, and they're like in the world of the game. And oh crap, I forgot to mention, I didn't finish this one either, but it's for completely different reasons. It was just kind of dull, and I was just like, give me your review of it, because you said something that was perfect. If you don't remember it, I'll say it again.
I'll read it to you. Bringing it up. I'm just scrolling through our text history because I keep everything just in case if I have to call you out on your bullshit.
Oh yeah, my bullshit. Yeah. That I actually secretly loved Beyond the Gates. If I loved it, I probably would have finished it. But it was
No, this is about somebody that we both know. That's a piece of shit.
Anyway.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
I do want to go back and actually finish it someday, just because I didn't think it was as like ridiculous as The Conjuring 2, but I was not so good.
Nick says, now watching Beyond the Gates on Netflix. I say, what is it? Let me see. Because I'm trying to keep it in context here. I know that people are calling it the best movie ever. Oh, wait, that's it's Baby Driver. And I said,
yeah.
oh, God, good luck. And then, you said, yeah, same thing is happening with... Okay, because we're talking about three different things. Excuse me, people. Okay. Beyond the Gates, I say, isn't the worst, but it's like watching someone have a great joke all set up and then they fuck it up telling it.
That is exactly what that movie is like.
And then you said, I'm not up to the part where they fuck it up yet. I like the synth score, but of course I do. And I said...
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, I did like the synth score.
And then I said, you'll get there when they talk constantly. Hey, shit is going on. My thing is, if I'm going to watch a movie from the 80s, I'm going to watch a movie from the 80s. Okay? Not going to watch a current movie. I don't know.
Well, no. It's not just that. I think if they had gone full into making, like, when they go over, everything is campy and not threatening, you know, when they go into the world of the game. Like, if everything then was like Turbo Kid or Father's Day, this movie would be awesome, you know?
Right.
In fact, a movie that I saw a trailer for that's not horror that is coming out soon is Dave Made a Maze. Have you seen the trailer for that?
Nah.
A dude makes a cardboard box maze in his living room, but inside of it is this whole world that he accidentally created out of cardboard. Like a cardboard minotaur is chasing him around, and it's a documentary. It's a mockumentary of people trying to go into his cardboard maze to find him because he got lost in this cardboard box he made in the living room. And it seems, and they go all in on the concept, you know?
Dave Makes a Maze?
I got to send it to you, man. I am not even sure if Dave Makes a Maze. I'll send you the trailer, but they go all in on this insane concept, and it is what they should have done with Beyond the Gates. And I'll probably go back and finish Beyond the Gates. Anyway, we've talked about this for more than enough time. So,
yeah,
what else have you seen, man? That you want to, or do you have any final thoughts on this one?
I do. It's like you find out that the girl that you've been hot for, let's say, or a guy, I'm not going to be sexist here, people, so person that you've had the hots for, and you find out they're going to be in a porn movie, or they have a sex tapes don't exist anymore, so like a sex video, and you're like, if that's your thing, you're like, I'm interested, I'm curious, I want to see that. And you put it in, and it's like a sex education thing where they're just talking about sex. And you're like, fuck. This is not what I signed up for. I'm bored. That's Beyond the Gates.
Yeah, it's so many of these things. Now, the weird thing is I'm seeing Dave Made a Maze be called a horror movie on some sites. But it doesn't look like horror to me. Other people are saying it's an adventure comedy, which is what it seems more like. Anyway, continue.
I rewatched Pumpkinhead 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Oh. Not a fan of the Pumpkinhead movies, am I? And I think the only ones I've seen were Part 1 and Part 4. And Part 4 is pretty garbage.
Yeah, well, I mean, Part 2 is as well, but it's really good. I mean,
okay.
if you're in the mood for trash, Pumpkinhead 2 it's trash. You know what, Nick? There is a movie I wanted to mention that's not horror, but it's got some of the most brutal, violent scenes in it.
Okay.
I'm going to jog your memory here to see if you saw this movie.
Recent or?
No. This one came out in the 80s because the 80s is so cool. To Live and Die in L.A.
Oh, yeah. I want to say I've never seen it, but I kind of remember it. So maybe it was on HBO when I was a kid.
It was on HBO a lot when you were a kid. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has William Peterson and Willem Dafoe and William and William Fitzgerald.
Lots of Williams.
Yeah, it was made by William Friedkin.
Amazingly.
You know, it's sometimes when you watch a lot of horror movies, much like Nick and myself do, you need to cleanse your palate. And sometimes you might venture into comic book movies or, romantic comedy. That's what Nick watches. Me, however, I'll watch watch some real bad action movies or just like sleaze fests, blaxploitation, or whatever I feel like. To Live and Die in L.A., I gotta say, man, it's one of the coolest, most beautiful movies I've seen in a long time. And it's violent as shit. It has some unexpected surprises. If you have never seen the movie, I highly recommend checking it out immediately. Because if you're into gritty police movies or like Vice movies, that's pretty much what it is. It's I wish I could tell you about the violence, but like when you see somebody's face get blown off, it's a good movie. That's what I got for you.
Generally true.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nick, how about you? Anything else?
No, man.
I got something else.
Okay, tell me about it.
It's not a movie.
Oh.
It's a game.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's called Dead by Daylight.
Yep. I actually have that one.
So do I. We have different consoles still.
Still, yes, we
I am
cannot play.
excited. Have you seen the Halloween download that's coming out for it?
No, I have not. Have you played the game yet?
Yes, I have. But have you seen the Halloween download for it yet?
No, I mean, I can look it up right now. I've heard about it. I know that it is part of the deal with it.
Nick,
Yeah.
you haven't played the game until you've seen the Halloween download that's coming out for it.
I'm looking for it.
I think the game is very repetitive. However, the gameplay with other people is probably a lot better than the Friday the 13th game. Why? Because you don't hear assholes talking. It's all you have to use hand movements, and it's kind of more realistic that way.
I totally did not enjoy the game.
No,
Nope.
I'd
much rather
do.
play it.
I do, and there's more coming out for it, which is going to be cool. But I mean, I like that you can have private matches on Friday the 13th, which I'm going to have pretty soon. But the thing I like about Dead by Daylight is it loads instantly. You choose your character, and when you're playing, you don't have to interact with people. Because my thing is that if I'm playing an online player only option game, I don't want to play with people I don't know and hear them talk about bullshit on my earphones. I can't stand it. I absolutely can't stand it. And the other thing too, which I know the Friday 13th game is working on, is like if you die, then, and suppose you're playing with like 8 other assholes. And then one asshole is the host of that game. And then he gets killed or she gets killed, so they just drop the game. Everybody loses everything because they just dropped out. That's bullshit.
That is horrible bullshit, and they really need to fix that.
Yeah, they do. And that's why I was like, well, Dead by Daylight's pretty cool because of that. Now, the Halloween download that I've seen...
The DLC that's coming out for
it's going to be really cool, man.
And it's already out on PC, actually.
Yeah, it's out on PC, yeah. I saw the gameplay, and it looks like Haddonfield. It looks like Halloween 4. But like the aftermath with like police car lights just going and nobody's in the car. It's completely quiet. And you get to be Laurie Strode or Michael Myers. Come on, that's going to be great.
I'm watching video of it now. That's
What-
nice, but I still don't. I didn't like. There's a lot of. I don't want to give a whole review of Dead by Daylight. I actually won it for free in a contest on Twitter. The first time I think I ever won anything on Twitter contest, but I actually won the game. And it feels like a little bit like Left 4 Dead. Asymmetrical horror. 4 people are playing against 1 killer. You're trying to set up these generators and not get murdered. But I really wasn't enjoying it. And I mean, maybe it's just because I have nobody to play with or something.
Maybe it's too difficult too.
It is very difficult.
Like you can't. Yeah, I haven't lived yet.
Right.
But like the only thing that really sucks is that I think the contraptions that they put you in is stupid.
Yeah.
With the spider-like thing.
You get hooked onto a thing.
Yeah, that has spider legs that stab you and stuff. It's kind of, and all the killers do the same exact thing, which is pretty lame, to be honest. That's the worst part of it. I like the soundtrack. I really like. It kind of adds to it. And I like that when you die, you can go play more games. Like, you don't have to worry about everybody else in the game. You can help other people too, which is cool. You don't get to do that in a Friday the 13th game. In actuality, like, Friday the 13th game kind of took the recipe of this and made it the Friday the 13th game. I mean, they did. Let's be honest. However, the Friday the 13th game has everything that you really want. So, if I were to compare the two as far as gameplay and fun, I'd go Friday the 13th. But Dead by Daylight I enjoyed for, just to play a little bit and then go, okay, I'm done. Rather than, because the Friday the 13th game, yeah, if you die, you gotta wait and watch everybody else play. And that sucks, too. So,
yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like, Friday the 13th, like we said in our review, the video game is not perfect by any means, but it has a lot to be excited about, and I don't know. I just, maybe if I played more of Dead by Daylight with friends or something, I'd have more fun. I'm just not that into it yet.
Yeah.
But at any rate, have you seen any other movies you'd like to talk about?
No, I have not.
Then let's say goodbye to the showsters out there, or
showsters.
the horror showsies.
The showsies.
The M. Night Showsians.
Dude, poor people. That's what I call them. This poor fucking suckers. They gotta listen to our dumbasses talk.
Right.
Trust me, we don't have a high opinion of ourselves. We think we're fucking assholes, people.
Seriously. I do know our Twitter for once, though. I have it written down so that I would not mispronounce it. It's at Jack and Nick Show. You could follow us there. You can follow us. We started a SoundCloud, but isn't it funny that I started a SoundCloud and now SoundCloud is about to go out of business like next month, according to recent reports?
Really?
Yeah, it's apparently only has enough money to function for another, 35 days or some shit. So
we got to start a Kickstarter or a Patreon.
For SoundCloud. Oh, and also it doesn't seem to put our new episodes on there because you can only have so much data at once. So I forgot I mentioned SoundCloud. I'm not even looking at it again. We have a Tumblr. Follow us on Tumblr. Facebook.
Find us on Facebook. Who uses Tumblr?
Young girls, teenage girls.
Well, I'm staying off of Tumblr.
I bet we have no followers on Tumblr. I've never looked at it.
Oh, hey, what's up? You're a girl. Oh, okay. Oh, you're underage. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Right. Not going to jail. So what else do we have? Guys, follow us. Normally we have some sort of participation with our listeners, but we didn't this episode, which I apologize for. It's just we threw this episode together rather hastily, wanted to have some fun, wanted to have just a discussion with each other because we missed each other so much. And if you follow us on social media, you will see our messages about, what we're going to be listener participating in the future. So come follow us. Rewards. We have none. Good night. Thank you for listening.
Jacob K666.
Oh, yeah. And at New Jersey Nick on Twitter.
No tweeter. Thank you for listening to our wonderful show.
Thanks.
Nick.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim 2's gonna blow!